Welcome to the deep dive. You sent us some fascinating material this time.
Hmm.
It's excerpts from the morning Murli, dated April 22nd, 2025. Now, a Murli, just for context, it's basically a daily spiritual talk in the Brahma Kumaris movement.
Right.
And our mission here, really, is to kind of explore the core ideas, especially around, service and personal growth.
Yeah, and pull out what's really valuable.
Exactly. For you, the learner,
Yeah.
think of this as a direct path to understanding this particular spiritual view and what it's actually asking people to do.
And right away, what really jumps out is this focus on the present moment.
Okay.
The text says pretty clearly, this is the most valuable time for you.
Most valuable time.
Yeah, and it's not just, be mindful in a general way.
Yeah.
It's specifically tied to becoming what it calls the Father's full helpers.
Okay, let's dig into that a bit.
Hmm.
Most valuable time.
Hmm.
Why now? What makes now so critical, according to this text?
Well, it seems the idea is that becoming these full helpers right now is what leads to achieving a high status.
The high status?
Yeah.
So there's a kind of urgency. Like what we do now directly impacts our spiritual future, I guess.
That's definitely the feeling, yeah. A real sense of opportunity. It connects to that universal thing, doesn't it? Putting things off.
Sure.
This perspective really frames the present as this crucial window for making spiritual progress through service,
Yeah.
active service.
Okay, and speaking of service, it talks about serviceable children. And it asks this question, what excuses must serviceable children not make?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, well, it's pretty blunt.
It is, isn't it?
No complaining about the weather, too hot, too cold. Apparently, those just don't cut it as reasons to skip out on service.
And the reasoning behind that is quite interesting. It calls the current world a land of sorrow.
Right.
So the idea is we have to tolerate everything anyway. Happiness and sorrow, heat and cold, praise and defamation.
So complaining about the heat is missing the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's a call to build that inner resilience, suggesting that getting caught up in minor discomforts distracts from the main purpose, which is contributing something meaningful. It's about sort of detaching inwardly.
Right, like the text says, going beyond all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Tolerate the ups and downs, the praise, the criticism for a little while longer
Mm-hmm.
to eventually reach this land of happiness. It sounds like a kind of short-term endurance for a much bigger lasting reward.
It definitely frames it that way. This idea of temporary difficulty leading to ultimate happiness isn't unique, of course.
Yeah.
But what's specific here is how directly it links tolerating these dualities with being able to serve effectively.
Okay, and then it brings in you Brahmins. It says they understand this cycle of happiness and sorrow.
Yes.
And there's an expectation set that these Brahmin children, people on this path, are meant to be instrumental, helping the Father transform India, Harat, and the whole world into that land of happiness, or heaven.
Right, and this introduces a really key element of the Brahma Kumaris worldview. The term Brahmin here isn't about the traditional caste. It refers to those dedicated souls who understand this specific cyclical view of time.
The cycle you mentioned, like
Yeah.
a golden age, then things decline,
Yeah.
and then renewal.
Exactly that. A descent from perfection and then the eventual return to purity. And their role in this view is central to that global shift.
Okay, so who is this unlimited Father then? The text is clear. Only this Father truly serves the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he's calling on sweet children, I assume that's the Brahmins, the followers,
Yes.
to become his helpers by following his specific directions called Shrimat.
Correct. Shrama is the term for that divine guidance.
And it also talks about being trapped in the chains of Maya, and that the Father directs people to break free, not just from Maya, but also from the influence of gurus.
Yeah, that's a strong point.
It really is. It sounds like a very direct claim about spiritual authority.
It is. It asserts this single ultimate spiritual source, the unlimited Father, as the real benefactor, and Maya. You can think of Maya as the illusion, the attachments, the mental noise that obscures our true nature and purpose.
Okay.
So the call is to break free from that and from reliance on traditional guru figures, emphasizing instead a direct connection to this Father through his Shrimat. It definitely makes you think about where spiritual authority lies.
And this Father, he's described as ordinary. Like people don't recognize him for who he is.
Apparently so. Incognito, you might say.
Yet this seemingly ordinary figure is making us the followers, the Brahmins masters of the world, and others don't even realize it.
It's a compelling idea, isn't it? The divine hidden in plain sight.
It mentions Lakshmi and Narayan as past masters, too. Is that suggesting this is a recurring thing, a cycle?
That seems to be the implication, yes. It puts the current effort into a larger cosmic context. It highlights the importance of inner sight over just outward appearances.
Then the focus shifts inwards to the intellect. The Father is said to open the lock on everyone's intellect.
Changing it from stone to diamond. That's such a vivid image. It really speaks to that desire for breakthrough moments, those aha experiences.
Absolutely. It's all about the transformative power of this specific knowledge, this spiritual awakening, stone to diamond. It signifies a huge shift from, say, dullness or ignorance to brilliance, clarity, and wisdom.
Yeah, the text draws a sharp line, doesn't it, between being God's helpers in this specific way
Yes.
and the more general idea of devotion, like remembering Ganesh or Hanuman or following gurus.
It makes a very clear distinction. It suggests that path of devotion belongs to a different part of the cycle, only half of it.
And that even great sages, rishis and munis, didn't fully grasp the creator or creation. It mentions neti neti.
All right, neti neti, meaning not this, not that. It points to the limits of intellect or traditional devotion in grasping the ultimate.
So the Father is presented differently, as the seed, the ocean of knowledge. Exactly. The ultimate source, the seed, who comes specifically to India to impart this direct knowledge. It contrasts what it sees as limited practices with direct experiential understanding from the source itself.
It also touches on Shiv Jayanti, Gita Jayanti, connecting them to remembering Shiva and Krishna. But it emphasizes that only Shiva is the true ocean of knowledge and the purifier.
Yes, highlighting Shiva's unique role in this specific time of transformation, according to this teaching.
And it weaves this into the cycle. Again, souls start pure, become impure through their journey.
Playing their parts.
Right. And the original deity religion eventually disappears, later becoming known as the Hindu religion. It's a vast narrative.
It really is a cosmic cycle of purity, decline, and the promise of renewal. Attaining and then losing the spiritual kingdom, and now the time to reclaim it. It provides a whole framework.
So given all this, what are the practical takeaways? What does it say to do?
Well, it gets quite specific. Following precautions, preparing and eating food in remembrance of the Father.
So integrating it into daily life.
Deeply. And then there's the core message repeated. Remember, me and you will once again become the masters of the world. Simple, yet profound.
And it also stresses following the mother and father, usually referred to as Mama and Baba in the community.
Guiding figures.
Yes, likely key figures within the Brahma Kumaris tradition, emphasizing the importance of mentorship and guidance on the path.
So the central instruction seems almost disarmingly simple. Remember, me and your sins will be absolved.
It does boil down to that core practice.
But then it expands again. We need to tell others about this journey through 84 births. The need to become pure again.
Right. The element of sharing the knowledge is important.
And the more you remember, the sooner you get to the new world.
That's the idea presented, yes. Greater remembrance accelerates the process, leads you there first.
It also uses some symbolic language near the end. When Rama went, Ravan also went. What's that about? That likely refers to the end of the cycle, the confluence age, where both the old Ravan and the potential for the new Rama exists before the old fully disappears.
And the mention of the Mahabharat War, is that literal?
Probably symbolic, representing a period of great upheaval or destruction of the old world that precedes the establishment of the new, pure kingdom.
Okay. And this whole process is called a spiritual study?
Yes.
And it's contrasted very sharply with worldly studies, which are dismissed as aiming for peanuts.
Yes, peanuts. It really emphasizes the perceived lasting value of this spiritual knowledge versus temporary material gains.
Because this knowledge apparently stays with the soul after death.
That's the claim. It accompanies the soul, unlike worldly status or possessions, which ties into that urgency again. Death is standing over your heads.
Wow, okay, so don't waste time on peanuts when death is imminent and you could be gaining eternal jewels.
That's the essence of it. Prioritize this inner spiritual work.
So let's try to summarize the essence for Dharna, the key takeaways for practical application.
Okay. It stresses studying and teaching this knowledge, sharing those imperishable jewels.
Right. And liberating yourself from old patterns, karmic bondages.
And engaging in what it calls spinning the discus of self-realization.
Which sounds like continuous self-reflection, self-awareness.
I think that's a good way to put it. Constantly checking in with yourself, understanding your own inner state, and again, following the mother and father for that royal status.
Then there's a blessing and a slogan. The blessing is about being an elevated server by watching every thought, avoiding wastefulness.
Because the world is watching, it says, setting an example.
And the slogan? As well as an atmosphere of service, also create an unlimited attitude of disinterest.
Interesting combination, isn't it? Active service, but with inner detachment, not getting caught up in the results or worldly aspects of it.
And finally, this aviact signal about remaining victorious through the combined form.
Yeah, that feeling of constant connection and support from the Father, that union giving you the power to overcome anything.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into the Murli excerpts.
Yeah.
Wow. A really strong focus on now is the crucial time for transformation through service.
Definitely. And rising above the everyday stuff, the discomforts and dualities.
A specific role outlined for these Brahmins in a global shift guided by this unlimited Father.
And a clear preference for this direct knowledge and remembrance over more traditional devotional paths.
It's a whole worldview, really. Philosophy and practical steps all rolled into one.
It is. It offers a comprehensive framework.
So for you, the learner, listening to all this, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Considering this idea of the most valuable time, maybe the question is, what's one peanut, one smaller worry, one attachment that perhaps you could let go of?
Yeah, to make space for something potentially more lasting.
Exactly, something more lasting. This has been really illuminating, digging into this text. And like always, it feels like we've just scratched the surface.
There's always more depth to explore.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing this source material with us. And to everyone listening, if you have text or ideas you're curious about, please do send them our way for a future deep dive.